Good evening, everyone. Again, Victor Ruiz with Esperanza. I'm very honored to be here to share Alejandra's story. Before I get into her story, I wanted to share some what I'm going to call Jewish and Puerto Rican fun facts. I did some research here to really understand the relationship. So I have three quick ones. First one, Puerto Rico has the largest number of Jews in the Caribbean. That was very impressive. Famous Puerto Rican Jews, Geraldo Rivera, Freddie Prinze Jr., David Blaine, Joaquin Phoenix, and someone that I think took the best of our cultures and mashed them, and that's Bruno Mars. So I was very impressed with that. And then the final fact, which I think really shows the relationship between Puerto Rico and the Jewish community, is what is called Resolution 1480. In October 2005, the Senate of Puerto Rico approved Senate Resolution 1480, recognizing the contributions which the Jewish community has made to the way of life of Puerto Rico and the friendship which exists between the peoples of Puerto Rico and Israel. So I found that to be a very interesting, and we have a great example here with Alejandra. Alejandra, you grew up in Puerto Rico and you're also Jewish. To some people that might seem like an interesting combination, but can you talk a little bit about the similarities between the two cultures?
Absolutely. I always find that the Jewish community and the Latino community are very, very similar. When I tell that to people, they're kind of stunned at first. I think the biggest similarity is definitely family. Latino families are very family-oriented. They care a lot about what's going on in their families and how they can help, and you see that a lot with Jewish families as well. And I think my favorite thing is definitely the similarities between Jewish moms and Latino moms. They can be slightly overbearing sometimes, but they mean the best for their families. And I think the best example for that is my aunt. She's the best example of both a Jewish mom and a Latino mom. She's raised four incredible kids, and she's always making sure that they're going to school on time and that they have like everything in the right path. But they can think about it overwhelming at first, but I'm like, she's looking out for you in her best interest. And I think I can see that with a lot of Jewish families as well.
Family is always very important to our cultures. Now, talking about community, how has the Cleveland, Northeast Ohio community, Jewish Cleveland been? How have they treated you? How have they welcomed you to Northeast Ohio?
It's been amazing. Obviously, coming from Puerto Rico to Ohio for school was a very drastic change. Not only the community, but weather and things like that, obviously. So it was an amazing thing to be able to walk on campus and see right by my dorms, like Hillel at Kent State. And that was my first initial insight to how my 4 years at Kent would have turned out. I'm graduating now in December, and my college experience most definitely would have been so drastically different had I never walked through those doors. So I think the community welcomed me with open arms and never really questioned how Jewish I was or anything of the sort. They just were like, yes, you're Jewish, welcome home. And that was an amazing feeling to have, getting to Kent and not really knowing anybody. That was my first experience at making friends at Kent. So it's just been the best experience to have these past 4 years.
Great. Well, we're glad you're here, and hopefully we can keep you here. So talking about back home, we're approaching the 1-year anniversary of probably the most devastating natural disaster to strike Puerto Rico and the Caribbean. And there were a lot of lives lost. Just yesterday, the government changed the official death toll from 64 to 3,000. And many believe that that number is actually in excess of 6,000. Personally, my father died as a result of the aftermath of the hurricane. He couldn't get the medical attention that he needed. So my question is a couple. One is, first of all, how's your family? How are they doing?
So for the most part, they're doing better now. It's been, as you said, close to a year in about 3 weeks. So it's definitely been readjusting to new ways of life for them. You talked about your father. My grandfather lost his mom, and we can only assume that to lack of medical care and the response time for that. So we know people that we've lost because of the hurricane. My mom and my brother had to move to Miami because there was a scarcity of jobs after the hurricane. My brother lost his house. So it was things that they loved living in Puerto Rico. We are very proud to be Puerto Rican and to live there. And they were never looking to move at that time. So it was kind of a do or die situation. And thankfully, Miami has also embraced them with open arms, and they've been able to find really incredible jobs living there. And their lives have massively improved. But my dad still is in Puerto Rico, and he's still reeling with the aftermaths. The economy is still very down, infrastructure is still getting there. The power lines still go out at some points of the night for hours. So it's still kind of having to readjust your way of life. I've visited twice since the hurricane hit, and the life I used to live when I was in high school, it's definitely very different to how I have to go about my life now. At night, some of the lights will be out. I have to be more cautious with how I drive. I have to make sure that, the car isn't going into an area that might not have any lights and stuff. So I have to reevaluate what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis.
And how has Jewish Cleveland helped you adjust after this tragedy?
It's been amazing. I was abroad in Florence while it happened, so I was even farther away from my family than normal, and obviously the connection to be able to contact them was very scarce at first. I didn't hear from my mom for about a week, almost a week and a half, and immediately my Hillel reached out. They were like, how are you? What can we do? Seeing as we're a little bit closer to your home. And so it's just those little things that I wasn't able to talk with my family, but I had that family in Ohio that reached out to me, and it just felt like I wasn't lost and alone while I was abroad. I had a community and somebody looking out for me while we tried to figure out this puzzle of what was going to happen next.
Great. I'd like to also add that when Cleveland started receiving hundreds and a couple thousand of Puerto Ricans after the hurricane, it was a Jewish community that was one of the first to step up and help as best, and that has made a tremendous difference. So Jewish Cleveland has helped you in a lot of ways, and I was really excited when you were telling me about your internship. Can you talk about that experience?
Absolutely. So over this past summer, I participated in a program called Onward Israel, which is an 8-week program based in Tel Aviv. So I was with a lot of others. We were around 42 students that are mostly from the Cleveland Jewish community, which was amazing to be able to make those friendships now that are from the Cleveland Jewish community. And so I was interning with an amazing fashion designer. His name's Elisha Abarzel. And I was doing a multitude of stuff, but the vast majority of my time was spent doing photography, doing market research, trend forecasting, and also getting in contact with federations because he wants to come more to the States, so he's trying to find those connections. So I was helping him throughout the summer do that.
And we're running out of time, so I'm gonna turn it to you to ask a question of me.
Absolutely. So you were just recently in Israel with a mission trip. How do you feel that you're able to use what you learned in Israel and adapt that and bring that onto Esperanza?
Great. So I was part of the first and internally best class of the Adler mission trip, and there were 40 of us from Cleveland, and being out of our day-to-day together in this amazing environment. And as I thought about this question, I thought about how much people in Israel deal with complexity on a day-to-day basis. And I really brought that back because social issues are very complex, but we have to really come together and work them out together. So Alejandra, I know we talk about the theme of the campaign is the impact of together. So what does that mean to you?
I think for me the most important thing is how much the Jewish communities have embraced me. As I said, I think my 4 years at Kent would have looked dramatically different had I never come to Kent and had I not entered the doors of Hillel. And so for a lot of events, it's really a group effort. We have to come together to do a lot of the events. If we just leave it to one person, I think it's impossible. So we really see how the students come together and how they do amazing events throughout the semester. And it's really those things that, if I'm able to help them out and stuff, and we have these amazing results where we can reach more Jewish students. So I think that impact I've seen throughout the last 4 years are things I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life.
Great, thank you, and good luck.